Molo Member of Parliament Kimani Kuria was this morning hosted at our sister station Spice FM, where he spoke about the controversial Finance Bill 2023 that is now before the court. Remember, he was behind one of those that drafted the bill, and so he was addressing that among other issues, including the planned protest by Azimio leaders. Let's listen in.
It's great to be back here. Great to see you, Ndu. Great to see you, CT.
Good to see you, sure.
Been a very busy last few weeks, last few months. The last time we were here, we were debating the finance bill. And it's now an act, although unfortunately we suffered a small setback that I am confident will soon be a thing of the past about the conservatory orders that have been granted by the court after an application by our good friend Senator Okiya Mutata.
Yeah,
I was joking with him the other day, and I think I was telling him he should withdraw the salary. He should refund the salaries he is paid as a senator, because he's more of an activist in the courtroom than he is a senator and a lawmaker of this Republic of Kenya. I think he is more fitted to work within the judiciary and not as a senator.
And how did you respond to that joke?
He laughed it off. Because he knows what I meant. Because members of parliament have a very privileged position of sitting where you and Du and City cannot, where we make laws of the Republic. And so I think it's very important that every legislator use that platform to make the laws and to make their contribution, and not abscond your duty and run to the courts or run to the streets to picket. And you're a member of parliament, and when the decision was being made, when the votes were being taken, you were either conveniently out of the country or conveniently out of the chambers, or not even bother to understand the process that was happening. So it's a really sad.
Or you were a senator and you didn't have an opportunity to debate or vote on the said bill.
Yes, but again, if you are a senator worth your salt, you should know that in the history of Parliament, a finance bill has never been debated at the Senate. Because for a bill to be debated or to go to the Senate, it has to have clauses that affect county governments. And for this Finance Act, there was absolutely nothing that would have made it be debated at the Senate. And there is precedence, because since the promulgation of the new constitution and since we started having the finance bill, it has never had to go to the Senate.
Even when the county government is an employer.
Who collects revenues.
If you look at it,
some of the measures there compel a county government as an employer.
Article 119 of the Constitution gives powers to the National Assembly to legislate on all matters, taxes. And if you use that logic, then the Income Tax Act, that deducts payee, then the county governments pay payee.
Yeah.
The county governments deduct VAT. So do all the laws relating to VAT and income tax go to the Senate? Because county governments are agents of collecting payee and income tax.
But
the answer is absolutely not.
And consider for a moment, Mheshimiwa, if your honorable colleague had not raised this issue, this very worthwhile discussion we're having here would not take place, because every time there's something that goes against the normal grain, what we then have is a robust conversation on it, and we get to be informed, like the very things you're saying here. See, you are quoting statutes, you are explaining to us where this whole conversation is anchored. In the absence of that difference, you would not be explaining it.
I don't think so, City, because if you remember the last, long before this bill became really this publicized. I remember I was in this show and we started breaking what the finance bill is, what it needs to do. I think there has been a robust conversation, and I think we have not had a piece of legislation that has been debated nationally as widely as the Finance
Is that not a good thing?
I'm not complaining. It's a good thing. We are much more informed. It is just that what is sad is people that have the facts keep misrepresenting them deliberately. And for example, when His Excellency the President ascended the finance bill into law, he signed 2 other bills. He signed the Division of Revenue Bill. It's now Division of Revenue Act. And he signed the Appropriations Bill, which is now the Appropriations Act. Interestingly, we are conveniently not talking about those 2 other pieces of law, that the 3 of them are like conjoined twins. The Division of Revenue Act is the one that defines or puts says what the sharing formula is, the revenue sharing formula is between the national government and the county government.
Yep.
The Appropriations Act is now the act that puts money into programs, whether it is road, whether it is health, whether it is education, whether it's agriculture. It is actually the one that says there is a line here called roads that specifies it's road A, B, C, D. There is these water programs A, B, C, D. And all of them have a bearing to the Finance Act. Because the money that you're going to share between national government and county government in the Division of Revenue Act, the amount of money we're going to spend in programs, whether it is roads, health, that has both been approved by both by the Appropriations Act is a bill of the National Assembly. So it has been brought to the National Assembly. The Division of Revenue Bill now Act is a joint bill that has been passed by both the National Assembly and the Senate. So interestingly, there is no contestation about we are spending this money.
Actually,
but where it is coming from is
actually
That is where the issue is.
That's where the issue is, Mheshimiwa, because remember, yes, it went through, but what it required was a majority. It doesn't mean that everybody assented to it. There are people who probably had a difference of opinion. And that difference of opinion is what we are now seeing playing out in the public gallery.
Interestingly, CT, is that the hypocrisy of we participated in this budget. It's like at home. You agree that we are going to live in an apartment where we are going to pay 30,000 shillings. And you're going to take our kids to school X, that are going to pay X amount of money. And these are going to be the meals, to draw up a budget at home of 100,000 shillings. And you both agree. Okay? Then we say, fine, where are we going to get this 100,000 shillings? Then we say, now you have to give in 2 more hours at work.
Yep.
Because we need additional revenue for us to support this family budget.
Yep.
We agree, you as a kids, you're not going to when you come up from school, you have to help at the shop because now we need this additional revenue. And then we all agree, because remember, we are financing 100,000 shillings budget every month. But once we agree all that, you say, no, I don't think I want to put in 2 more hours at work. And yet you participated in agreeing that we move to this apartment that we're paying X, and taking the kids to this school that we're paying X school fees.
I hear what you're saying, but if we look at what really is the situation in Kenya, the people that are being asked to put in a little bit of extra were not at this table to have this conversation, and they didn't say, yes, we will give you 2 of our hours after school to contribute to this conversation. And I think that's where it all came from. That you didn't consult the people that you're asking for 2 extra hours. You kind of put their 2 extra hours down on the budget. And then when that is going through is when you come and tell them, oh, by the way, folks, you're giving 2 hours of your time afterwards. I think that's where the problem was. Otherwise known as the grander term of public participation.
I want to look at it a little differently. And let's first of all handle the legislatures that were part of the process. There are two ways. So you're part of the process that approves budget X that has these roads in your constituency, that has these houses are being built in your constituency, that has all these programs that you sit in a departmental committee that you approved.
Yeah.
Okay? Then once you approve these expenditures, and I'm talking about, first of all, leaders, the leadership, then you say, fine, this is how then this is going to be financed. But then once now they get to the financing part, that's where now you say, let us go to the streets. You know, how absurd can that get? You know, I wouldn't understand on the issue of now the public, okay? Because you're saying for sure that we are going to have the employees and the employers contribute 1.5% and 1.5%. There are all these measures that are put in. So I would really understand if it is the one making the contribution that was not, even if there was public participation, was not necessarily voting, was not necessarily at the decision-making table. I would understand that. But now, explain to me how you, who was part of the entire process, budget-making process,
Get out of
and I
parliament
could
and go
pull
and
reports,
complain.
you know, because
Let me
the
ask you,
budget-making
Mheshimiwa.
process, if I finish this point, Latif,
Yeah.
the budget-making process is done by departmental committees of the National Assembly.
Yes.
So the Departmental Committee of Agriculture approved the budget on agriculture. The Committee on Health, the Committee on the Budget Committee, actually, which is the largest committee, compromising, and all these committees compromise members from both Kenya Kwanza and from the opposition.
Absolutely.
I can tell you for a fact they all signed the adoption report of the budget of those particular committees.
Don't be fooled.
There was no objection in any of the committee reports.
There was no any objection,
terms of expenditures.
Yes, including the finance, and again,
So,
including the finance committee.
Let's come to the finance committee.
Even
How
include-
many members are in your committee in
15.
total? How many of those 15 members are in the Azimio coalition or the minority?
7.
So 7 of your members are minority members.
Yes.
How many voted no to
None.
the measures?
None.
How many voted yes?
Unanimous. It was all the 15 members. So equally, the 7 members from Azimio actually voted yes to the finance report.
So all the members of the Azimio coalition in your finance
Yes.
committee voted yes,
Yes.
to the finance committee's report.
Yes.
Which is what ended up with just
the
minor
floor.
amendments becoming the Finance Act.
Yes. So the finance. So we got the finance bill. Okay. We went through public participation.
Yeah.
We listened to thousands of stakeholders. We came up with amendments. We amended, I think it is, if I remember correctly, we amended 87 clauses in the bill. The amended finance bill, which was ascended to by the president, was approved by both sides of the political divide at the Finance and National Planning Committee.
And it was not just unanimous, everybody.
They signed the adoption report. They got sitting allowances for.
They all signed.
They all signed for
Who
the
are the
report.
members of the minority in your committee?
It's
public.
That is public
You want me to
domain.
look out for-
I do not
I
want
can
to.
get the names, or you can give me the names.
Let
It's
us
gonna
not
take a
go
while.
to. Let us not go to the
The
names.
chairman is Kuria Kimani. Who's the vice chairman?
The membership, if you just check on our website, you find the membership. Like,
You know why
I
we-
wouldn't go to the I don't
It's
want
not
the
about
discussion.
character.
No.
I do not want to go to
It's
that
not about
conversation.
character, it's about
but I
report.
want us to see this view and this perspective. Let's not even talk about the Finance and National Planning Committee, which I assure you was approved unanimously. Let's talk about
The budget.
the
committee.
approvals. We talk about the budget. Let's talk about the approvals of the clauses at the floor of the House.
Okay.
Okay, because what our Azimio brothers and sisters are telling us that we must suspend, okay, the Finance Act in totality. The voting that was done on the clauses, what are the clauses that they asked for division? You know, asking for division is they opposed, and then they felt that they didn't have the numbers, and then they stood at the first division. You know, what now we had now to vote yes or no individually. were only 3 clauses
Out of?
out of 87 different clauses.
So out of the 87 clauses, the contentious ones were 3.
Well, 3. They asked for division on deletion of, I think it's clause 29, that is taking VAT on fuel from 8% to 16%.
That one.
They asked for division on the clause that was reducing the housing levy from 3% to 1.5% employer and 1.5% employee. They asked for division for the amendment of the Income Tax Act that was introducing 2 new tax bands for because before the Finance Act of 2022, those earning more than 500,000 shillings were the only ones who were paying 30%. There was no any other band. So the committee amended that and introduced 2 more bands, between 500,000 shillings and 800,000 shillings at 32.5%, and anyone earning more than 800,000 shillings, they pay 35%.
Yeah.
So those are the only clauses that members from Azimio actually wrote to the Speaker, bringing amendments.
Yeah.
And asking for a division. Only those 3.
Okay.
Out of 87 clauses, what are these other 87 clauses about? One, for the very first time, we took maize flour, wheat flour, cassava flour from from tax exempt status to 0 rating status. So it means that now maize flour, cassava flour, and wheat flour is 0 rated, which means you're removing taxes on maize flour and wheat flour. How is that bad? We have reduced excess duty on internet on internet expenses, on telephone expenses from I think it's 15% to 10%. I'll confirm the percentage, but at least it is a reduction. We are reducing rental income tax from 10% to 7.5%. We have introduced 0 rating of local manufacturing of fertilizer, which means that the fertilizer that we're now availing to farmers and next season is going to be much cheaper because we have reduced taxes on manufacturing of fertilizer. We have introduced what's called insurance relief for post-medical insurance contribution. We have realized that when people when people retire, and throughout your working life, you had this medical cover that usually a contribution of either employee or employer or just a contribution of employer. Once you go on retirement, most people, and so at retirement, you are at advanced age, that is when you're more prone to diseases. So they're not able to afford medical insurance. So we have introduced a tax and insurance relief for post-retirement medical insurance.
Okay.
How is that wrong? Let me go on.
Let me pause you.
On UHC.
On
UHC.
Let me pause you there because we'll not go into the other 83. Yeah? Those 3, do you agree that even in the public, even when you're engaging the public, that those 3 were the most contentious issues? From the feedback that you got from the public, those 3 issues: the housing fund, which now is the housing tax, VAT on fuel, and the third one is
income tax.
Yeah, the income tax.
Okay, fine. Of course,
from the feedback that you got in your public participation,
the income tax, of course, nobody ordinarily wants to pay more. I, for example, my pay slip for June is worse than my disposable income for the month of July, is much less than my disposable income or my take home in the month of June. That is a fact. Am I happy about it? The answer is no. I'm not ordinarily happy that I am getting to pay more taxes. McHugh even removal of the capping for housing, because remember, the bill had a cap of up maximum of 2,000 shillings. Now, with the removal of the cap, I'm going to pay more because I would have paid up to 2,000. Now I think my housing levy deduction